Far from the bustling shores of San Francisco, a desolate island stands sentinel in the choppy waters of the bay. Its name, whispered through history, evokes images of formidable walls and unyielding punishment, Alcatraz. But before it became America's most infamous penitentiary, this isolated rock had a long, surprising, and often brutal past, beginning not with steel bars, but with strategic intent. The island's dark allure predates European arrival. Local Native American tribes, like the Ohlone, spoke of Alcatraz as a place of banishment for those who violated tribal law, a stark, forbidden outpost. They called it the Evil Island or Pelican Island, due to its bird populations, hinting at its inherent isolation and inhospitable nature long before any prison cell was built. In August 1775, Spanish explorer Juan Manuel de Ayala charted the island, naming it La Isla de los Alcatrazes, Island of the Pelicans. This marked its formal entry into the Western world's consciousness, a seemingly insignificant waypoint that would, over a century later, become synonymous with inescapable confinement. Its strategic location, however, would soon be recognized. Following the Mexican-American War and the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Alcatraz, along with California, became U.S. territory. The discovery of gold in California that same year ignited the gold rush, transforming San Francisco into a booming port. The sudden influx of wealth and people demanded robust coastal defenses for the critical bay entrance. In 1850, President Millard Fillmore reserved Alcatraz for military use. Its position, guarding the entrance to San Francisco Bay, was deemed indispensable. By 1853, construction began on a powerful fortress, complete with formidable cannons. This was not just a defensive post, it was to be an unyielding bastion, the first true structure of confinement. Alcatraz also housed the first lighthouse on the U.S. West Coast, operational by 1854. While a beacon of safety for ships, it ironically cast its light on what would become a symbol of doom for those imprisoned within its walls. The isolation that protected the bay also ensured the complete separation of its future inhabitants. During the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, Alcatraz served as a vital military stronghold. It mounted 105 cannons and housed over 400 soldiers, safeguarding the Union's control of the West Coast. More importantly, it also began its grim transition into a prison, holding Confederate sympathizers and those accused of treason. The island's role as a military prison expanded rapidly in the post-Civil War era. Its robust defenses and natural isolation made it ideal for housing difficult and dangerous military prisoners, from insubordinate soldiers to captured Native American tribal leaders. The very architecture designed for defense now served to contain. By the turn of the 20th century, Alcatraz officially became the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks, Pacific Branch. Its reputation for harsh discipline and complete isolation grew. Inmates here faced not only physical walls but the relentless psychological torment of being cut off from the world, a precursor to its later, more notorious role. Notorious prisoners like 29 Hopi elders, imprisoned in 1895 for refusing to send their children to U.S. government schools, and Filipinos captured during the Philippine-American War, endured its early confines. This established a precedent for Alcatraz as a place for those deemed too challenging or subversive for other institutions. The primitive conditions of the late 19th and early 20th century military prison were brutal. Cells were rudimentary, sanitation poor, and the biting winds and dampness of the bay seeped into every corner. Yet, despite its already fearsome reputation, new, far more ambitious, and terrifying purpose was on the horizon for Alcatraz. As America grappled with an escalating crime wave in the 1920s and early 1930s, the federal government needed a new kind of prison. A place for the most dangerous, the most incorrigible, the worst of the worst. Alcatraz, with its forbidding nature and established history of confinement, was about to be reborn. Its dark legend was only just beginning to take shape. The Great Depression brought not only economic despair but also a surge in organized crime. Gangsters like Al Capone and George "Machine Gun" Kelly became household names, their exploits undermining public trust and federal authority. The existing prison system struggled to contain these new breed of high-profile, high-risk criminals. The Justice Department, under Attorney General Homer S. Cummings, sought an escape-proof facility, a place to send the most incorrigible offenders, breaking their spirit and preventing further criminal enterprises. Alcatraz, with its island isolation and military infrastructure, was the perfect candidate. It was purchased by the Bureau of Prisons in 1933. Millions were spent transforming the decrepit military prison into a state-of-the-art, maximum security federal penitentiary. Steel-reinforced concrete, tool-resistant bars, and sophisticated electronic surveillance systems were installed. Every detail was meticulously designed for one purpose: to ensure no man could ever escape. On August 11, 1934, the first batch of federal prisoners arrived, led by the legendary Warden James Johnston, known for his strict, uncompromising approach. The federal penitentiary, officially designated USP Alcatraz, began its 29-year operation, a period that would etch its name into the annals of criminal justice history. Alcatraz became home to America's most dangerous and famous criminals: Al Capone, imprisoned from 1934 to 1939, George "Machine Gun" Kelly, and Alvin "Creepy" Karpis, the longest-serving inmate. Robert Stroud, the infamous Birdman of Alcatraz, spent 17 years there, though his bird-keeping days were long behind him. Life on Alcatraz was a monotonous, brutal existence. The rules were simple: you are entitled to food, clothing, shelter, and medical attention. Anything else is a privilege. Strict silence was enforced, psychological pressure immense, and any deviation from the rules met with swift, severe punishment in the dark isolation of D Block. Despite its reputation, escape attempts began almost immediately, fueled by desperation and a defiant spirit. Over the years, 36 men attempted 14 separate escapes. Most were quickly apprehended, some shot, others drowned in the frigid, treacherous currents of San Francisco Bay. Each failed attempt only reinforced the island's escape-proof legend. The most violent incident in Alcatraz's history occurred in May 1946, the Battle of Alcatraz. Inmates Bernard Coy, Marvin Hubbard, and Joseph Kretzer initiated a meticulously planned, though ultimately doomed, attempt to seize keys, weapons, and guards. Their objective was a desperate, bloody break for freedom. For 2 harrowing days, the prison became a war zone. Guards and Marines fought to regain control, using grenades and gunfire to dislodge the inmates barricaded within D Block. The battle resulted in the deaths of 2 correctional officers and 3 inmates, with many more wounded. It was a stark reminder of the island's inherent danger. The aftermath saw 3 remaining escapees, Miron Thompson, Sam Shockley, and Clarence Carnes, tried for murder. Thompson and Shockley were executed in the gas chamber at San Quentin in 1948, while Carnes received another life sentence. The battle cemented Alcatraz's reputation as truly unforgiving, a place where desperate men met brutal ends. This era solidified Alcatraz's fearsome reputation. It was a place designed to break the will, to isolate, and to punish. Its very name became a chilling byword for ultimate imprisonment, casting a long, dark shadow over the bay. But even in the face of such overwhelming odds, the human desire for freedom remained stubbornly, perilously alive. The prison's seemingly impenetrable walls and relentless psychological pressure had failed to extinguish the glimmer of hope for escape in some prisoners' minds. While many had tried and failed, one audacious plan was quietly taking shape, a plan so daring it would challenge the very legend of the Rock. The stage was set for the most famous prison break in history. By the early 1960s, Alcatraz had earned its reputation as the escape-proof prison, a federal stronghold where the most dangerous criminals were sent to break their spirit. Yet, this formidable reputation would soon be tested by three men, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin. Their plan was audacious, born of meticulous observation and quiet desperation. Over months, using discarded saw blades, spoons, and a stolen motor, the trio painstakingly widened ventilation shafts in their cells, located behind their sinks. The damp, salt-air-corroded concrete allowed them to slowly chip away at the walls, creating a passage into the utility corridor running behind the cells. To evade detection during daily cell inspections, they crafted incredibly realistic dummy heads from a mixture of soap, toothpaste, toilet paper, and paint, topped with real human hair collected from the barbershop. These papier-mâché heads, placed in their beds, would buy them crucial hours once their escape began.